Also would like to ask you to write your names and maybe the organizations which you represent here in the webinar, just to have a quick introduction round, because we don't have time for, let's say, a live introduction. Also would like to ask you to evaluate the webinar. The link is already shared on the chat, and would like to raise your attention that you can use the chat function anytime when you have question or remark. Please don't hesitate to post it in the chat section of the webinar. We will post these questions in the discussion round after the presentations and the program. Now, I would like to present you in a nutshell our social impact vouchers program using the video which the project prepared for this purpose. Social impact vouchers program is a Interreg Central European project which targets the elaboration and implementation of innovative employment labor market instruments, namely social impact vouchers or implemental vouchers for the labor market integration of the most vulnerable groups in Central Europe. So please watch the video. We have tested. Unfortunately, last time we had some technical problem with that, but now we hope that everything will be all right. So I will start sharing. That's it.
The Social Impact Vouchers project helps to change the lives of job seekers from disadvantaged social groups, innovatively, sustainably, and on a long-term basis. The project started in 2019 and is co-financed from the Interreg Central Europe program. The project is a joint effort of 11 partners from 8 countries in this region. Non-profit organizations, municipal partners, business partners, and competence centers are testing the innovative project simultaneously and jointly. In their cooperation, they benefit from each other's country-specific innovations and special features. Each placement promotes the integration of disadvantaged people and provides companies with highly motivated employees. Moreover, voucher systems provide support to job seekers and employers also via training, coaching, or capacity building. In all project countries, there have long existed a large number of different, mostly public, support programs for the unemployed. Our ambition is not to replace them or compete with them, but rather to complement them where support is still needed. We see the possibility of addressing the most vulnerable of the vulnerables and helping them through individual approaches to obtain the best social policy tool, their own income from their own work. The sustainability of the voucher programs will be ensured through funding from the social impact funds. 4 project partners decided to set up individual funds at the national level, while 4 project partners joined forces to establish a transnational fund. This transnational cooperation is represented on the Next Access platform, where interested donors can inform themselves about the supported voucher programs and directly make financial contributions to the fund. The Social Impact Vouchers project marks merely the beginning of long-term and innovative support for job seekers from disadvantaged groups. But it's not just job seekers who benefit from the initiative. In this way, employers can first try employing vulnerable people who can be of great benefit to their business or other type of activity. And last but not least, every single success story moves our society forward. Get inspired as well.
I hope everything went well with the video and you enjoyed it. So now it's time to start our core program today. And I would like to pass the floor to Lubomir. Please start the webinar today.
Thank you very much for passing the word to me. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the webinar Employment Voucher Programs. My name is Lumir Bili, and I'm the representative of Centire. We are a research, education, and consulting company based in Bratislava in Slovakia. The aim of this webinar is to present our experience, our voucher programs, one of the pillars of our international joint effort. And I will present it via three voucher programs will be presented via interview with my guests. Slovakia, case of Slovakia will be presented via presentation, and four voucher programs will be presented via a brief description in the course of the webinar. So, space for your questions is scheduled in the end of the webinar, and I'm sure you will learn a lot of inspiring and interesting information. So let's start with where the whole story began, and it's Germany. So I would like to now link and connect with Petur Torsteinsson, who is a CEO for Eastern Europe, and from social welfare services of the Protestant churches in Württemberg. So Petur, welcome to our webinar as my guest for the first interview, as we will talk about where the whole story began in Germany, in Baden-Württemberg. So Petur, can you hear me?
Thank you very well, and I hope you can hear me as well. Warm greetings from Württemberg.
So thank you very much for your time. And so let's start from the basic point. What was the story behind the voucher model in Germany? When did it start, and who initiated it, and how did you test it and everything? We are so curious about the whole story from Germany.
On the one hand, thank you for your interest and your curiosity. On the one hand, we can go back 40 years. There we started with a small project called 1&1. And the idea was to have private donors give some money to help people during their vocational training, having problems finishing the training so that they could finish it. And this was more a philanthropic way of doing things, focusing on this idea of being there for people in need. Then more than 10 years ago, we started talking about setting political signs to remind the politic how important it is to do something for people that have been unemployed for a long time, because it's all about participation. It's all about that you have the possibility when one is asking you, hey, what do you do? That you can give back. Well, I'm working this and that and so on. And that Mr. Kaufmann, who was our president of our association, we are the Social and Welfare Association of the Evangelic Churches in Württemberg. He came up with this idea to have vouchers that would help organizations to have people that would be in need to get on the labor market and to help them during those first steps. And that's how our participations vouchers started, and they have been running since 2013.
And over the years, has there come a time when maybe the voucher project or the voucher model has been endangered, and why? And how did you solve these problems? Or
well, you know, of course, we are a church and we are believers and we are focusing on eternity, but we do not have the money to finance such projects eternal. So we have had this, and everyone who has been doing projects knows this. You write the application, you wait, then you get the answer, then you can execute, evaluate, and then you write the next application and you wait again. And this was also our case. First, we had money to 2013 to 2015 for our first vouchers. And then there was a need also for the democratic processes in our church to focus again on this. And so there was a gap, and one could have thought our project is endangered, and it was even. But then there came this next step with more like a labor market focusing vouchers, but also with vouchers focusing on leisure activities, on education, and so on. And this was our second part. This actually also finished last year. So now we are hoping to be able to start again. We have some small projects running, but this is the life. So sometimes it's endangered, yes, and sometimes we are happy because it's running again.
How did you scale the voucher model? How many people are involved in it every year? And how does it work? How is the operation of the voucher program in your case?
We are in the lucky position, being the umbrella organization for a lot of actors in Württemberg in South Germany, that we have over 30 big organizations that have the specialists that are focusing on this work. And we are working closely with them. So they do know what people are in need and what people are helping. Also, one has to understand there is a close bridge in our projects to the community because all applications have to go through the community church. So we have the specialists that are working in the field. We have the donor, that is our church. And then we have the church working in the community. And together we can be a consortium that is able to use the money for the right people, for the right cause in the right moment. And having evaluated the first part, 2013 to 2015, that had altogether 492 people that benefited from that part. We were able together to evaluate and to design a new project, as I said, focusing more on the labor market, but also focusing on leisure, culture, and educational activities for people that are not yet ready to step into the labor market and need to do some steps before that, to get out of your home, to get again into society. And in the second part that started 2017, we had until the end 321 employments, that is vouchers focusing on the labor market, and twice as many for other vouchers.
And which disadvantaged groups are the main beneficiaries of the vouchers in your case?
At the beginning, we were focusing on everyone that is not participating in society, not asking what kind of disadvantage do the people bring through their lives, what is their disadvantage. Much more just this question, are you participating in society or not, or even is it your feeling that you're not participating, and would you need help? Would you step into our project so that you could participate again? So this was at the beginning. Through the years, we have had some regional specificas because our partners are working with some special people. So this can be very different. Many are still focusing on people that have been for 5 years or longer not on the labor market. But we have also other groups of people with disabilities and so on. But one also has to understand we are mostly focusing on people that are somehow not supported by the state, because one should think Germany, everything is fine, everyone gets supported, but still we have people, they kind of fall through the gaps of the system, and those persons are those we want to assist, and they can be with very different backgrounds, migrants or not migrants, with disabilities, without disabilities, mothers that are raising the children alone, elderly people that are living alone, and so on.
Do you use vouchers also for other areas other than employment?
Yes, thank you. I already mentioned that in our second phase, we noticed that or in the evaluation of the first phase, we noticed it is too much for some people to expect that they start even for 2 hours a week working, because they have been for more than 5 years outside of the labor market. So they even need some smaller steps, like just to go for 1 hour a week for a yoga lesson, or to learn to write your own curriculum vitae, or some very small steps. And that's why we had those education, leisure, and culture vouchers, also because for some people it is the first step just to go again to a culture activity where you see 20 other people, and that is, if that is the help you need, then that is the help we want to give.
How did the idea of creating SIV consortium and transferring this approach to other European countries come about?
As I mentioned before, we are in the lucky position being an umbrella organization in Württemberg in South Germany, and we have many big organizations that are specializing in the field of assisting people towards becoming active on the employment market again. And one of those big organizations is Neue Arbeit, a social incorporation in Stuttgart. And they came up with this idea. They said, wow, look at the great work we have been doing all over in South Germany. We see the people, we hear their voices, we notice what it has meant for their lives that they went through this project, and they were very much enlightened, more or less. This would be something that could work for other countries as well. And so they looked for the partners in the different countries and said to us, we have to do this. And that's how it's all started. And that's why we have this great consortium now of 11 partners coming from 8 countries. And we have been doing the different tasks and models. And we see that is exactly what Neue Arbeit said in the beginning. This can also work in other countries. So that's the story.
Good. And the last question, what is your vision for the voucher model in the future?
Actually, and that's sometimes, I hope we do not need the voucher model in the far future, because if the voucher model, and it will one day, I hope, work, it is a signal. It is saying to the politicians, hey, this is something that the state should be doing. We do it now, and we show ways and possibilities to help people that we can together find ways and possibilities for everyone to be active on the labor market, and we will succeed. And when we have succeeded, the states in the different countries, or Brussels or whoever, will notice and will understand they should do this.
Thank you very much, Peter, for this interview and presenting the voucher model and voucher experience from Germany. So this was Peter Torsteinsson, CEO of Hope for Eastern Europe. Thank you very much. And now
Thank you.
I will just briefly share my screen just to show you how the voucher model in Germany looked like in a scheme. So this was the voucher scheme applied by the diacony. And this was the voucher model which has been applied by Neue Arbeit. So, and now let's talk about briefly about the Austrian voucher model. Austria is one of the 8 engaged countries in our project. And in Austria, 2 partners are involved in the project. The Vienna University of Economics and Business co-manages the project and oversees the analytical part of the project by focusing on assessing the project impact. The Austrian voucher model program is managed by Caritas of the Archdiocese in Vienna. In the Austrian model, Caritas works together with the social enterprise Everyone Codes. The program consists of 2 stages. Stage 1 is an intensive training program by Everyone Codes, aimed at developing IT skills for job seekers from disadvantaged groups. Stage 2 is a mentoring program for graduates with minor job experience supported by Microsoft. The Austrian project addresses a broad target group and thus aims to give a chance to everyone looking to turn the page and to start a new career in programming, provided that they show the necessary commitment and the motivation for taking on this challenge. So this was the case of Austria. And another partner is Croatia. This is their voucher model. The Croatian partner of the project is ZIF, Cooperative for Ethical Financing. This business support organization is not only responsible for the voucher program in Croatia, but also manages all activities related to the establishment of social impact funds in the project. So social impact funds are the second pillar of our project. ZDF's voucher model is piloted in partnership with social enterprise Martinov Plasht that has many years of experience in supporting finding jobs for the people with disabilities. Voucher model is built around Croatian legislation that is requiring companies to have at least 5% of people with disabilities among their employees. And in case they do not meet this requirement, they need to pay compensations to the fund that is supporting employment of people with disabilities. The fourth partner, so this is the Croatian voucher model, is a mix of 2 approaches. The fourth engaged country in our project is the Czech Republic. And this voucher program and voucher model will be presented also by interview. So now I'm welcoming you here, Eva Škrabalová, expert project garant from the Center for Community Organizing Northern Moravia. So Eva, welcome.
Hello, Lubomir.
So I have also some questions prepared for you because we are also curious about your experience from the Czech Republic, because each country has chosen different approach, and also it was very specific in the case of the Czech Republic. So, but let's start from the beginning. Can you tell us something about your organization? What is your main activity, and what was maybe the main projects you have carried out yet?
Okay, hello. Well, I represent the Center for Community Organizing, which is a transnational NGO in the Czech Republic. And concretely, I represent Center for Community Organizing Northern Moravia. That is one of the 6 branches, which has like legal independent form. And CPKP Northern Moravia is mainly focused on social entrepreneurship and innovation, as well as active employment policy, and mainly startup support. This is just very brief introduction.
Besides the social impact voucher projects, what other employment support activities have you done?
Well, the Center for Community Organizing Northern Moravia has a status of job agency, and we provide different kind of services, coaching, mentoring, job placement services to various target groups, mainly disadvantaged groups. And we have very similar approach as PETUR, that we are not so much asking like on the disadvantages, but we are really trying to help and support job seekers, job candidates, inactive people which means also the people that, for example, have some employment, but they are looking for some change, either through employment or starting a business.
Why did you decide to get involved in the SIV project? Had you heard about the German voucher model before, or what was your motivation?
Well, originally we were addressed by the lead partner, Neue Arbeit, based on a partner search of similar types of organizations with similar field of work. And the idea of social impact voucher voucher project was very interesting for us and very inspiring, as well as we wanted to get more experience with Central European Interreg project. So this is why we got involved in the project.
Your voucher model, how is it similar and how is different from the other ones? Which are your target groups, for example, in your case?
Well, the Czech voucher model is different, especially because it is focused on startup support of aspiring entrepreneurs through so-called BEC methodology, which is business employment cooperative. And it offers to aspiring entrepreneurs quite easy transition from inactivity to employment or to business. And it is divided into 3 phases. The first phase is so-called idealization, which is done through specific or special business training, which is helping the participants to create a business plan. The second phase is about the testing of the business under the umbrella of the BEC cooperative. And it's real testing of like selling of products, of services with a certain secure of a wage for 6 months for the participants. And the last phase is the real independent self-employment. And regarding the target groups, I already mentioned briefly, but we work mainly with women 50 or 55 plus. We also work with women and men that are returning after the maternity leave. We also work with long-term unemployed, with low-skilled people, and so on.
Within your activities, you are helping the candidates to start a business. What success stories have been made in this area? Can you present some?
We have several success stories. We also present them on our mosaic of like example entrepreneurs on our website, bec.coop.cz. We are mainly focused on like micro businesses. So we are not a typical business accelerator that is supporting mainly like innovative or high-tech businesses. So this is like an example of how we work. And we usually support mainly crafts and services, which means, for example, we have some accountants, we have stonemason, we have a person that works with wood, we have different projects or businesses focused on tutoring or teaching and so on.
And from your point of view and your experience, do you think that everyone can do business, or you must have certain predisposition, talent, gift?
Well, in our opinion, we believe that the potential has almost everyone, but our approach is that it is very important to be well prepared for before starting a business. So our role is to support people to like transform the business idea to real business plan and to real making of business. And the quality, that's why we work with people, that we are helping them to do the business plan. So we know what the business is about and how risky it can be, and the quality of the business plan, and mainly the motivation of people is showing us whether they are able to start the business on their own, whether they use only our mentoring support in the business development, whether they really need the testing phase, which is like the highest level of support, or whether it's not realistic at all to initiate the business.
In your model, how does the fee or the refund system work?
Well, we have like 10 to 30% refund system from the incomes of paid, so-called paid entrepreneurs that are like employees of the BEC cooperative. And the system has like its motivation part, I would say. So the more the aspiring entrepreneurs earn, the less they pay back. So it means if their income is higher than our support, then they are paying back only the 10%.
Mm-hmm. And none all of your candidates or people involved in the project or the program become or started their own business. Some of them are employees then. At which employers they usually get a job?
It really depends on our participants, because it varies a lot, and we are matching our participants to relevant employers based on their experience and on their profiles. So it's difficult to say, but in general, we work with social enterprises, with small and medium enterprises, with municipalities, and so on. And areas of or the fields of the employers really differ a lot, and we are really tailoring it and matching it to the needs of the participants. So we cannot say, for example, that 10 people are going to this kind of company. It's really very individual.
Yeah. Employment support activities, this is mainly domain of the public sector, but maybe based on your observation experience, what things could be done better at the state level in terms of supporting job seekers get an employment, or in other areas?
Well, from the Czech Republic, we have experienced that there is quite a lot of support given to, as I mentioned, to those high tech and innovation projects or businesses. At the same time, for example, labor offices are supporting unemployed through like investments, that they get some money for investing to their business. But usually it's not relevant to all of them. Not all businesses are connected with investments. So we feel that there is more space, that it can be done in a more flexible way. And also we feel that if there is a greater diversity of like business support and a long-term financing for business support organizations, it would be great.
Okay, and now the last question: what are your plans after the project ends?
Well, we would like to continue in the set cooperation within the SIV project, and also we would like to develop more our implementation of our BEC methodology, and we would like to work on it in a more systematic way, and we would like to ensure the BEC methodology, like legislatively, organizationally, and financially within the conditions of the Czech Republic. So we would like to make it a more systematic tool to support micro businesses.
Okay, fingers crossed for that. Thank you very much. This was Eva Škrabelova, expert project garant from the Center for Community Organizing Northern Moravia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And so this was the case of the Czech Republic. Let's take a look at their model in a graphic graphic way. So this is, as we talk about, when they have job seekers, then they become the employers. They start their own business, but they also, as we mentioned, they also prepare job seekers for the employment, the different employers. The next country to talk about is Hungary. So this is the Hungarian voucher scheme. In Hungary, project activities are carried out by IFKA, public benefit non-profit organization. In case of the Hungarian model, the vouchers are issued to companies. They cover the recruitment and matching costs of employers which employ disadvantaged, low-educated, long-term unemployed job seekers, mainly from Roma communities, living in the most underdeveloped rural regions of the country. The Hungarian model is being implemented within the framework of the Emerging Settlements program in collaboration with the Tutor Foundation and the Hungarian Charity Service of the Order of Malta. So this was the case of Hungary. And let's talk about Poland, our partners for Poland.
Sorry, Lubomir, we don't
Yes.
see the presentation. I mean the slides. Didn't change. No, it was okay.
Have you seen them or no?
Yeah, it started to.
So I will play it this way. This is better?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So
yeah, that's it.
So let's take a look. If you didn't see it, this was the scheme of Hungary. And now Poland. Because Poland is another country where two organizations are cooperating on the project. The Rzeszów Regional Development Center and the Cooperation Foundation based in Warsaw. The Polish voucher model focuses on supporting women who want to return to the labor market after a longer leave through improving digital skills. The program thus gives them the chance to successfully apply their newly developed skills in new areas that use so-called competencies of the future. Social Impact Fund in Poland, from its very beginning, assumes professional support and empowerment of unemployed women in their return to the labor market. This innovative tool aims to attract employers, as with also help of Polish partners, they can welcome new employees with specific digital skills relevant to their company. As Social Impact Fund in Poland is designed as a revolving fund. Thanks to the financial contribution of employers or social investors, they will be able to support more unemployed women. And the next country in the round is Slovenia. And for that case, I would like to welcome my next guest, Sasha Perčić, communication manager from Fund 05 from Slovenia. So Sasha, welcome.
Hello to everyone.
We will talk about this voucher model in more detail. So hello to Slovenia. So maybe for the beginning, could you please reveal some interesting information about your organization? What are your main activities? Where are you based and so on?
Yes. Our company is a private financial institution established. We are from Slovenia, as you mentioned, from the city Kranj. This is near Ljubljana or the airport Brnik. We were established to finance social entrepreneurship and social innovation in July 2012. Since that, we have implemented many impact activities, projects, and programs. The majority of them finance social entrepreneurship and social innovation. Till this year, we gathered more than 2 million euros within our programs, and more than 300 donors supported our work. We are also members of many different networks, European networks like SFEBEA, then Euclid network, Transnational Giving Europe, Giving Tuesdays, and some others.
Why did you decide to get involved in the SIV project?
We received the invitation for a project partnership, and while the subject of the project is quite similar to our main activities, we decided to participate.
How is your voucher model similar, and how is it different from other voucher models that we have presented yet?
Maybe the main difference between the two speakers, Peter and Eva, we are more intermediary. We are not so involved in providing services because we are quite small companies, but we have quite a lot of stakeholders, external stakeholders, and our network that we are using for our activities. So the aim of the voucher program in Slovenia was to invest in training or education of unemployed before they get the job or at the beginning of the new jobs, and to launch individual plans and vouchers for them. So we have the two main target groups. One is at social economy fields. We established some connections with one company at the field of impact tourism, and the another target group was focused on our external stakeholder, Prisma Foundation. They are partner working with social company and vulnerable groups in Slovenia, in another region in Maribor.
You mentioned the expression impact economy, impact tourism. So could you maybe explain what can we imagine under what is the impact economy and impact tourism?
Yeah, this is quite sophisticated somehow, but we within even before and now with the COVID crisis, we noticed that it's good that the world needs values like empathy, cooperation, innovation, high impact. And we started to develop impact design. This is a systematic design and methodological production method of maximized positive impact for society challenge solution. If I simplify this, we prepared a list of indicators, for example, for the field of textile, for the field of tourism, and everybody who wants to be or to have an impact, to be a part of this scheme impact design, can go through this list and indicate what are the indicators that she can implement in their business.
In your voucher model, you have cooperated with Alpinia. So can you tell us something about Alpinia? What kind of employer is it, and how your cooperation began?
Yes, the first contact with Alpinia was established before the SIV project in order to introduce impact tourism in Bohinj, because Alpinia is the quite new young company in Slovenia. They decided to invest in some old abandoned hotels in Bohinj, which is very famous tourist region in Slovenia. So they are rebuilding almost every year or in 2 years period one hotel. So now I think that the third hotel is being renovated, and we started cooperation under the SIV project through the education and training of their employees.
What are your lessons learned from the pilot testing coming from the SIV project?
Yeah, it's quite it's not so easy to get or to attract some investors, and also in Slovenia we are fighting all the time to to attract investors, to involve some big, strong players, for example, ministries, Chamber of Commerce, or other chambers, that those activities can be supported from their side, and that also some policy decisions can be implemented in our system.
And I had the same question for Eva, and as I told that these employment support activities are usually domain of the public sector. So maybe when you talk about Slovenia, what could be better done in Slovenia in terms of the support job seekers and in terms of employment activities?
Yes, the case in Slovenia is that the state has established some schemes of social activation. The participants get support in training, mentoring, but there is no real contact with the economy and no tailor-made jobs afterwards. So there is the lack of individualization. This is one major, and also Peter was mentioning this, that those persons are not the same, and the individualization is one thing that can help to make them or to put them again at the labor market.
Now the last question, what are your next plans, the plans of your organization after the SIV project end?
Yes, we will still develop the impact design, and now under the umbrella of a new google.org project that we started in December last year. So this is ACT Impact project that will last by the end of next year. So we will be developing this, and also trying to keep the vouchers or bond schemes under the new project.
Okay, so fingers crossed for that. Thank you very much for this interview, Sasha.
Thank you.
So, and now, so I just share my screen again to present, to show you the scheme of the Slovenia. So this was it. This is the graphic visualization of the voucher model applied in Slovenia. And the last country is Slovakia. So the last participating country whose voucher model we presented today is Slovakia. In Slovakia, the SIV project has been managed by Centar, company I represent here. We are an educational research and consulting company based in Slovakia, but with activities across the whole country. And our company has always brought innovative approaches and methodologies through international projects to Slovakia. So therefore, we are very excited about the offer to participate also in the SIV project. Slovakia has long been a country with a higher unemployment rate, for example, in comparison with the other neighboring countries. And although the current employment figures are one of the lowest in history, Slovakia continues a problem with long-term unemployment as well as unemployment of disadvantaged groups. Considering our experience, context, potential for our effort, we decided to focus on 3 target groups, and that were graduates, the disabled, and the long-term unemployed. Slovakia has had a problem with unemployed graduates, especially from the secondary vocational schools. In the project, therefore, Centar developed a coaching program for them with an aim to address future graduates in the last months of their study at the secondary school. And after their graduation, we will able to work with them continuously while finding a job for them. We offered a coaching program to secondary schools and successfully presented it at 15 secondary schools across the Slovakia in the last year. The activities met with a very positive response from the target group as well as from teachers. Nevertheless, the interest of graduates to join the program after the graduation lagged a little bit behind the expectations. They really praised the coaching program, the training during their study and the last months, but after the registration at our portal and so on didn't meet our expectations. In the meantime, we follow up with activities for a broader audience, with webinars, online workshops, and voucher recruiting events. Job seekers from all over Slovakia have had the opportunity to get recommendations and tips, helping them to be successful on the labor market. More active applicants could register and take advantage of individual consultations. This is the, for example of vouchers for training, coaching, or individual consultation. And gradually, we began to form a community. Our Facebook page, Práca v Kocke, which is like a work in a nutshell in translation, and the matching portal also contributed to this. This is a landing page of our matching portal, Práca v Kocke, which matches employers and employees. So an employee, a job seeker, a candidate can register himself or herself to fill in all the information, and based on the information, like curriculum vitae, then the job seeker can be matched with the relevant and suitable job vacancy applied or promoted by the employer at this portal. And the list of registered job seekers has gradually grown. At the same time, we started approaching employers to participate in the voucher program, and we decided to focus on social enterprises. Why social enterprises? Because it's like now, to this day, there's like more than 500 social enterprises across Slovakia, and especially integrating social enterprises, they have to meet a condition. They have to employ at least 30% of job seekers from disadvantaged groups among their employees. So this was the perfect employers groups for us, also suitable for our project. And today, 26 job seekers from disadvantaged groups have been successfully placed at the social enterprises, thanks to our effort and support from the SIV project. Further, more than 20 additional job seekers currently in the pipeline. This is the picture from the social enterprise Matky v Práci, which is a social enterprise based in Trenčín, and they offer work, especially also in the administration, as you can see here from the office, but mainly for the cleaning services, which are carried out by the people from disadvantaged groups. Our project also helped people who had been unsuccessfully looking for work for more than 2 years. And in these ways, our project has helped really to change lives. I will also mention our lessons learned in the end. And as our activities gradually grew, so did our contacts and interest of our stakeholders in our help. And thanks to this, we got to another topic, a new area for our help, and that another disadvantaged groups, and those are single parents. And within the sustainability of our project and in cooperation with our partners, we plan to pay intensive attention to the target group of single parents as we move forward. And apropos sustainability, the project allowed us to pilot different approaches and activities, and we found out what works and what doesn't. And we are looking forward to continuing to help disadvantaged groups in the form of career counseling, coaching, and matching job seekers and employers, also after the project ends. And the sustainability of the project will be also supported by our currently emerging fund. The fund shall be financed by assigned corporate tax, because in Slovakia we have a system when companies can decide to dedicate 1.5% of their taxes to public benefit activities or organizations. So we will apply for that. Also, fund can be financed from gifts, sponsorship contributions, and employment payments for placed job seekers. And what have been our lessons learned? So this was our model, as you can see from this visualization. So we match job seekers and employers. These activities will be, this is more realistic after the project end. This from the newly emerging social impact fund, which will be funded mainly from private and public capital. And what have been our lessons learned? For example, in terms of graduates, as they were our first target groups, at the point as we approached them after the graduation that were not willing to join the program. Maybe when we asked them about some feedback, they told us they want to enjoy summer, they don't want to care about the serious things like jobs and so on so seriously. But it was interesting that after a few months or a few weeks, it happened that we found them among the registered people at the portal. So after a few months, they realized, okay, this is now the serious life began, and they began to be interested in our potential support via individual consultations. But we have found out that definitely comprehensive career counseling is needed at the secondary schools in general. In terms of people with disabilities and working with these disadvantaged groups, is a very diverse group. RUF organizations are very much active in this field. Because we have a program for some cooperation, but then we decided, okay, we will take it our own way. Also, state labor services and their support is very different from the regions and from particular people at these institutions. The problem of people with disabilities, they have kind of low self-esteem. They think that they cannot work appropriately, they cannot carry out the work assigned to them and so on. So it's also needed to work with them on the individual basis. And also they need working conditions that are very flexible. So, and the last point I have noticed is that there is a missing coordination in this field. So we tried our best and we will continue with that, but this is our lessons learned from working with graduates and people with disabilities. And as I mentioned, the new target groups we are focusing on already right now are single parents, and we will continue with that. So this was the case of Slovakia, the last country participating in the SIV voucher program and SIV voucher project. And this is the end of the presentation and interview part. And now it's time for your questions. You can ask them directly or you can ask them via chat. It's up to you. And now I'm passing a word back to Tamás as the main coordinator of today's webinar.
Thank you, Lumir. Before saying thank you to all of you, I just would like to open the opportunity for discussion. So, dear participants, if you have any question, remark, something to be clarified, please don't hesitate to address your questions to the respective speakers and interviewees. This is a thank you from Lenka Caletkova from University of Ostrava. And as I see, Anya Grunov raised her hand. So Anya, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Tamás. Yeah, what I can say, again, as in our last topic about the fund, I'm also very impressed today, even if when we are deep in the topic, still we have a new perspective while having now this overview over the single individual voucher systems again, and having, and this I really appreciate today, these explanations from each partner. So I think all the participants today, they really enjoyed also this extra additional information about the voucher systems, and now also everybody can understand again in a deeper way about fine aspects about the voucher systems. And also what came in my mind, because we are talking in the beginning from Peter Thorsteinsson from Diakonisches Werk Württemberg about the idea, and it was born here in that region. And also it came in my mind that probably because here in Baden-Württemberg we are very also innovative in the sense or in terms of working deeply together with companies. We have a very strong economy here within Germany. Also in the south, we have this strong economy region, and also I think this is also a reason why these ideas came up to support the companies, and also of course then the people here to find a working place and all that. So this came additional now when I was listening to Peter Torsteinson's explanations, and I think it's a good also information for all the participants about the source of these systems.
Thank you, Anya, for your comments. And as I see, Peter also has something to add or ask. We'll see.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to stress one thing again. Listening to my co-workers in their talks with Lubomir, I felt the need again just to verify what both of them also said. It's very often about the individual need. The big systems somehow from state and so on, they need somehow to group people and think, what does this group need and what does this group need? But we have also people in our societies that do not fit in the groups. They have very special individual needs, or even they have a need of being listened to, that they and their opponent do understand what is the challenge, and then together to find a way to overcome this challenge. And I think this is one of the strengths of all organizations now participating in the social impact voucher project, that we have this kind of approach to look at the person and to ask exactly and listen, so that we know, okay, for this person, again, something special is needed, and that is what our society also needs, that we see people as individuals and not as a part of a group. This I wanted to add.
Thank you very much for your, oh, yes, I hope you hear me. Thank you very much for your thoughts, and they are really, I think, uplifting and enlightening how we approach these labor market issues. And we have a question from Jana Žiskova. She asked if she understood right that social impact fund is just being created in Slovakia to support employment. Where can I find more? I mean, where can she find more information about the social impact fund? And Lubomir will answer.
Yeah, it's emerging really these days. Next week there will be like very ceremonial signing of the of the establishment, because it will be based on the agreement between our center company and the foundation. Which is able to fund it, establish it for us. So next week we will establish it officially by an agreement, and based on that we will create also some web page about this opportunity, some press release, and more information needed. So I think I will find the contact for Ms. Zaletkova also, and I can provide more information when they will be published later in June, probably in more detail.
Thank you very much for the answer. I hope it was satisfying, and yeah, we got the answer. Thank you from Jana as well.
I just want only to comment that I wanted to also confirm that individualism and individual approach was the most effective one, although we organized trainings and coaching based on like the bigger groups. Always the most effective or the most successful approach when we provided individual consultations. And based on that, really we got the most jobs for our job seekers. So I think this is the way for the future success.
And based on that, so I also would like to add that it was great that we have yesterday this second evaluation data lab, and we got, let's say, some information about what were the impacts and results of our voucher programs, and based on this information, it really let's say strengthens those statements which you made regarding this individualism and the personal attention which has to be integrated somehow in the labor market programs. Of course, this cannot be the main core of these labor market programs. As Peter said, this is, let's say, somehow natural and functional that the state, let's say, operated labor market programs are somehow standardized and grouping people and handle them in bigger groups and masses, but this has to be complemented, and this is, I think, the main message, that this has to be complemented by such programs which can provide this personalization and personal attention on the specific, not the target group, but individuals who are struggling with very different problems. I don't know if anyone has a comment or question. Yes, if not, then I just would like to say thank you for Lubomir and for all the partners who participated in this webinar today. Thank you for the preparation, for the professional implementation, and for the valuable messages that we can take with us today. It was really inspiring and motivating how you implemented this webinar. So yeah, we are preparing for something similar next week on the 25th of May, when we will have our last webinar session focusing on innovative policies and public and private cooperations for more innovative and more effective labor market initiatives and policies. So I hope the majority of you will be present next week as well on the last webinar session. Thank you very much for your attention, for being present, and please do not hesitate to, let's say, reach out to any of the partners who has been present here, who presented their voucher programs today, if you have any detailed questions. So thank you very much and goodbye. Have a nice day today.
Thank you, Tamás. Bye.
Thank you.
Tamás.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.